What if I told you that the people you called authority were never meant to define your reality, but simply revealed who you were giving your pen to? What if everything you've been taught about authority was incomplete? Because when most people hear the word authority, they think of someone who has power over them: a parent, a teacher, a boss, a pastor, a government, an institution, or even a god. But what if authority has nothing to do with control? What if authority is actually about authorship? What if authority gives you authorship of meaning and authorship of your reality? And what if the person you've unconsciously chosen as your authority has been quietly shaping the way you interpret your life? Not because they intended to, but because you never realized you handed them the pen. So today, we're going to decode the true meaning of the word authority and uncover why so many people are living a life they never consciously authored. Welcome back to your cosmic sanctuary. I'm Elle, the holistic energy alchemist, and here in this space, we explore the hidden architecture beneath the human experience. We decode consciousness, reality, patterns, symbols, language, and energetic structures that shape perception itself. This is a sanctuary for those that are ready to move beyond inherited limitation and remember who and what they actually are. Not through dogma, not through fear, but through awareness, reflection, and conscious embodiment. And today, we're beginning a 3-part series on one of the most misunderstood concepts in the human experience: authority. So let's dive in. Most of us were taught that authority means power, control, dominance, someone telling you what to do, someone positioned above you, someone with influence over your choices. But that's not what I see when I look at that word. When I look at authority, I see 2 words: author and reality, meaning the author of reality, the author of experience, the author of meaning. Authority is who teaches you what reality means. Let that land for a moment. People are not being controlled by an authority figure. Most people are actually living inside an authority imprint, an inherited structure of meaning, a learned way of interpreting life, a learned definition of love, success, worth, safety, and identity. And most people never pause to ask themselves, where did those definitions come from? This is because they were received before you had the capacity and ability to even question anything. As children, we enter this world completely open, learning reality through experience, reflection, observation, and most importantly, our relationships. We don't know what money means. We don't know what relationships mean. We don't know what success or struggle means. And we definitely don't know what love means. We learn all of this through mirroring our parental figures. We mirror what we see and we model what feels safest to survive within. And somewhere in those early years, we naturally orient toward an authority presence, a parental figure, whoever felt safest, most stable, most certain, most like This is how life works. And from that point forward, we begin interpreting reality through their lens, from their perspective. We absorb their meanings, definitions, and their assumptions about life. Not because they are right or wrong, but because our consciousness learns through mirroring and modeling before it has developed its reasoning and logical skills, before it learns to question. We mirror, model, and imitate our parental figures. And eventually, we mistake what we absorbed as who we are. And here's where something very subtle but powerful emerges. What we call truth is actually resonance, the felt sense of what aligns with our deepest nature. But when modeling takes over unconsciously, resonance gets redirected. We begin aligning not with what is true to us, but with what feels safest to become. And in that moment, identity begins to form through imitation rather than inner recognition. This is the quiet formation on what could be called the artificial identity matrix or artificial identity pattern, an identity constructed through external modeling instead of inner coherence. And this is why authority is so powerful, because whatever we model becomes the lens through which we interpret and experience reality. And whatever we mirror becomes the structure we repeat. So if truth is resonance, the felt alignment with your true nature, then anything built primarily through unconscious modeling will gradually drift out of resonance with your truth, not as punishment, but as consequence of learning through survival before alignment. And here's the turning point. If you're really honest with yourself, you can probably feel where you are still speaking reality in someone else's voice, someone else's interpretation of love, success, safety, and worth. And that awareness alone begins to shift the architecture. Because the real illusion of authority is this: we think authority is outside of us, when in truth, authority is whatever is currently defining reality for us. Now, I want you to sit with a few questions. Who taught you what life means? Who taught you what success means? Who taught you what love means? Who taught you what safety means? Who taught you what being a good person means? And more importantly, have you ever questioned whether those definitions are actually yours or simply inherited interpretation you absorbed before you could question them? Because this moment of questioning is often where sovereignty begins, not as an idea, but as a shift in authorship and a return toward what feels most true in you, beyond modeling, beyond imitation, beyond inherited meaning. And this is where the story deepens. Because once you see where authority begins, you start noticing something else. It doesn't disappear in the past, it continues as pattern. And in the next video, we're going to explore that pattern more deeply. We're going to look at how authority imprints become lived experiences from generation to generation, how they repeat through relationships, decisions, identity, and reality itself. And we're going to explore the hidden architecture between three words: parent, pattern, and partner. Because most people are not creating new experiences. They are repeating modeled realities through mirrored relationships again and again, just with different faces. And once you see that clearly, you begin to understand how deeply authorship has been operating underneath the surface. But know this, you may have inherited the first draft of your story, but you are not required to keep living as if you don't have access to revise it. Until then, I'll see you in the next transmission, y'all. Peace.